There comes a moment, often quiet, sometimes aching, when you find yourself utterly alone. No voices, no reassurances, no outstretched hands. Just you and the vast, pulsing silence of existence. At first it seems like a cruel joke, as if life has withdrawn its warmth and replaced it with cold indifference. But what if I told you that this moment, the moment of having no one, is not a punishment, but a passage? You see, we spend so much of our lives trying to be someone, to belong, to be needed. Yet in the stripping away, in the solitude, you meet the one presence that never left, the universe itself. And it doesn't speak in words, it speaks in wind, in stillness, in stars. When there is no one else, there is everything. For the universe is not a distant thing out there. It is you, right now, breathing through your lungs, dreaming behind your eyes. And perhaps, just perhaps, being alone is the beginning of waking up, not to separation but to unity, to the quiet eternal companionship of everything. When you feel utterly alone, cast aside by the world or forgotten by those you once held dear, there is an eerie stillness that settles around you. It may feel hollow at first, like standing at the edge of an infinite void, no voices, no reassurances, no warm hands to hold. But what if that stillness wasn't empty at all? What if instead it was full, brimming with the vast, patient presence of the universe itself? We have been taught to equate silence with absence, to believe that if no one is speaking, no one is listening. But this is a mistake born from the noisy chatter of the ego. For when human voices fall away and all familiar echoes fade, something extraordinary begins to emerge. It is then, and only then, that you can begin to feel the subtle hum of existence, the deep, constant rhythm of the universe whispering through everything. You are not truly alone, you never were. The idea that you are a separate fragment, floating in space without connection, is an illusion of perception. The very atoms in your body were forged in the heart of ancient stars. Your breath is borrowed from trees. Your thoughts ripple through the same field of consciousness that pulses through galaxies. When you sit alone in your room, feeling abandoned, you are still surrounded by invisible tides, gravity, light, time, all of which continue to move with and through you, regardless of your awareness, and that movement, that undying presence, is the universe's way of saying, I am still here. But most of us are not trained to listen to this language. We seek comfort in the loud, the obvious, the text message, the handshake, the crowd. And when these vanish, we assume meaning has vanished with them. Yet the universe never stops communicating. It is in the soft wind brushing against your cheek, the way your chest rises with each breath, the miracle of consciousness that allows you to even feel sorrow. Loneliness, in its deeper dimension, is not a punishment. It is a sacred stillness, a space within which you might finally hear the subtle song of all things. To say that the universe is listening is to say that it knows you not as a name or personality, but as a pattern, a unique wave in the ocean of being. And in your most isolated moments, it holds you still, inviting you to remember what has always been true. You do not need a crowd to be complete. You do not need validation to exist. You are already a necessary expression of everything that is. So the next time you feel like no one is there, close your eyes. Breathe, listen. The silence you fear is not empty, it is the fullness of the universe waiting to be known through you. The sense of being alone is a powerful illusion, rooted deeply in the idea that you are a separate self, isolated from the vast world around you. But this feeling, this aching loneliness, is not the ultimate truth of your existence. It is a story the mind tells, born from language and identity, which falsely draws a line between you and everything else. From the moment we are named, labeled, and taught to distinguish between ourselves and others, we unknowingly enter a world of division. We begin to think in terms of me versus them, inside versus outside, belonging versus abandonment. And so, when people drift away or life grows quiet, we think we are left with nothing. But the universe does not operate in isolation. It does not create beings in a vacuum. Everything is connected, not metaphorically, but literally, energetically, spiritually. The same atoms in your hand once danced in distant stars. The breath you take was breathed by ancient trees. There is no boundary, no wall, no final line that separates you from the whole. You are not in the universe. You are the universe, localized, briefly embodied, conscious of itself. This realization shatters the illusion of loneliness. When you believe you are alone, it is because the ego, that fragile sense of self, has temporarily lost its mirrors. People, relationships, roles, these often reflect us back to ourselves, affirming our identity. But when those mirrors vanish, the ego panics. It cries, "I am abandoned." But beneath that fear lies a deeper opportunity, to see what you are when no one is looking, when no one is naming you, when there is nothing to perform for. And what remains is not a lonely self, but a vast awareness that has always been here, unshaken, untouched. The truth is, there has never been a you that was separate from life. Just as a wave cannot exist apart from the ocean, you cannot exist apart from the universe. Loneliness, then, becomes not a condition of absence, but a momentary forgetting of connection. It is the shadow of an illusion, the illusion that you were ever disconnected at all. And once you see through it, even the solitude becomes sacred. You begin to feel the presence of life in every breath, every silence, every beam of light streaming through a window. To realize this is not to deny the pain of feeling alone, but to reframe it, to see that the ache is not proof of your separation, but the invitation to remember your unity. You are not a stranger in a foreign universe. You are the universe remembering itself, reclaiming itself, and gently waking from the dream of division. Your thoughts, your joys, your fears, and even your questions about existence are not isolated quirks of a separate individual floating in an indifferent cosmos. They are, in truth, the unfolding expressions of something far vaster, something timeless and intelligent, that is playing itself out through the illusion of your individual self. You see, we often imagine ourselves as beings trapped inside our bodies, looking out at a world that is out there, separate from us, as if we are strangers in a universe that doesn't know our name. But this idea is, quite frankly, a misapprehension. You are not in the universe the way a pebble is in a box. You are the universe in the form of a person. Just as a wave arises on the surface of the ocean, you arise on the surface of existence itself. Everything that you are, your heartbeat, your thoughts, your longings, is the result of cosmic processes expressing themselves uniquely through you. You are not separate from the stars, you are made of them. You are not distant from the galaxies, they are spiraling within your DNA. The blood in your veins contains the iron that once burned inside ancient stars. And the consciousness that animates your body is not yours alone. It is the awareness of the universe gazing back at itself, curiously, moment by moment. So, when you feel utterly alone, ask yourself, who is the one feeling this aloneness? What is this awareness that notices the ache in your chest, the silence in the room, the absence of a companion? That awareness is not a product of the brain alone. It is not a machine's cold calculation. It is something intimate, sacred, and alive. The universe has become aware of its own solitude through you, not to punish you, but to deepen your experience of connection. The trees don't worry about who sees them bloom, and the stars don't perform for applause. They simply express the intelligence of the whole. And so do you. You are a performance of the totality, a dance of being, a particular note in the grand symphony of reality. Your sorrow, your laughter, your sense of yearning, they are not accidents. They are the universe discovering the vast range of its own capacities, trying on different masks, playing different roles, not as a means to an end, but for the joy of the play itself. When you truly realize this, not just intellectually, but viscerally, you begin to let go of the exhausting need to prove yourself to a world that you believe is outside of you. You start to see that you are home, that even in your loneliness you are not forsaken. You are simply being drawn back into a deeper intimacy with life itself. And when you embrace that, you don't just find the universe. You realize you've never been apart from it, not for a single breath. When all the voices have faded, when the applause has ceased and the phone no longer rings, when even your own thoughts grow tired of echoing back the same questions, you find yourself in a peculiar kind of silence. This is not the silence of boredom or laziness, but a silence so deep that it reveals something hidden beneath the surface of your ordinary life. And it is here, in this stillness, that you begin to realize something extraordinary. The stillness is not empty. It is not the void you feared. It is full of presence, full of intelligence, full of something ancient and wise. When you have no one left to talk to, no shoulder to lean on, no crowd to follow, you return to the place you never truly left, the present moment, the breath, the gentle hum of existence. And there, in that stillness, is the universe. We've been taught to fill silence with noise, to cover stillness with action, to flee from solitude as if it were a sickness. But the truth is, all the answers we seek, the peace, the clarity, the sense of belonging, they don't come from running further into distraction. They arise naturally when we sit in the silence without resistance. The ego screams in solitude, for it thrives on identity, labels, and interaction. But when you do not feed it, when you stop identifying with the constant churning of thought, something more authentic begins to emerge, not the idea of who you are, but what you actually are. A field of awareness, a witnessing presence, a ripple in the vast ocean of the cosmos. Stillness isn't the absence of something. It is the presence of everything that matters. It is the doorway to a relationship not with others, but with the source itself. In the quiet, you begin to sense the rhythm of life that is not dependent on anyone's opinion of you. The breeze brushing your skin, the pulse in your wrist, the way the sunlight falls across the floor, these become messages, not in words but in feeling. The universe speaks fluently in sensation and synchronicity. It responds not to your desperation, but to your surrender. And so, when you find yourself alone, truly alone without distraction or direction, do not panic. Do not rush to fill the space. Sit in it, feel the vastness, allow the silence to stretch you open, for in that stillness you will hear the soft whisper of something ancient not outside of you, but within. You are not abandoned, you are being invited. The silence is not a punishment, it is the call to awaken. The stillness is not emptiness, it is the presence of the entire universe waiting patiently for you to remember what you are. What we often call emptiness, those vast, hollow moments when we feel forgotten, discarded, or invisible, is not the absence of life, but the space from which all life emerges. When you have no one but the universe, you are standing at the threshold of infinite possibility. It may feel like you've been stripped of everything, relationships, identities, structures, and in a way you have. But this stripping is not destruction. It is initiation. It is the removal of illusions so that something real may enter. You see, our minds are conditioned to seek meaning through attachment. We cling to roles, people, and validations to define our place in the world. But when those vanish, when the mirrors no longer reflect back who we think we are, we begin to see something startling. The self is not something fixed, but a fluid, spacious process. And it is in this space, this so-called emptiness, that the universe begins to whisper, not in words, but in the gentle language of awareness. A breath becomes profound, a shadow becomes a mystery, the ticking of a clock becomes a reminder of presence. What once felt like a void begins to show its true nature. It is not barren, it is fertile. The emptiness is not something to be feared, it is the open sky in which stars are born. Most people spend their lives crowding out this spaciousness, We fill every corner with distractions, conversations, media, desires, plans. But when all of that falls away, and you are left with what seems like nothing, that is when you begin to notice everything. The mind, no longer chasing the next thing, settles. And from that stillness new insight arises, not taught by books or teachers, but known instinctively, like a forgotten memory returning to you. In this spacious state, you begin to realize that your sense of isolation is not proof of your insignificance. It is the very path to your awakening, because what is left once the need to be seen and loved and recognized fades. Only being, pure, unfiltered, unbounded being, and in that being you find something astonishing. You are held, not by people, not by society, but by the very structure of existence itself. The stars are not indifferent, they are your ancestors. The wind is not mute, it sings your name in a language older than time. From emptiness everything flows. New purpose, new depth, a new sense of connection not based on need but on realization. You are not here to cling, to beg, or to be rescued. You are here to remember that when all else fades, the universe remains, and more than that, it invites you to become conscious of your place within it. Not as a stranger, but as a vital expression of its wonder. When you have no one but the universe, you are finally ready to become who you truly are. When you reach the point where there is no one left, no one to call, no one to lean on, no one to affirm that you matter, something remarkable begins to unfold. What initially feels like the bitter sting of abandonment slowly reveals itself to be a doorway, a portal not to despair but to truth. You begin to see that all your life you have been surrounded by layers, relationships, responsibilities, reputations, noise. And when those layers fall away, what remains is something far more honest, the raw presence of being. This, you realize, is the universe's most intimate gesture, not chaos, not neglect, but a sacred stripping down, an invitation into the depth of your own nature. You are no longer distracted by trying to be accepted or understood, and in that absence of others, you begin to hear something you had forgotten, your own essence, the still voice of the universe within you. It has been whispering all along, but it takes emptiness to finally listen. People think of the universe as some vast thing out there, galaxies spinning in cold silence, but that's only one perception. The deeper truth is that the universe is not distant from you. It is flowing through your every breath, your every heartbeat. You are not a lonely fragment cast adrift in an indifferent cosmos. You are the cosmos, briefly taking form, briefly forgetting, and then slowly remembering. When you have no one but the universe, your illusions begin to dissolve. You let go of the myth that your worth depends on others. You stop performing for an audience that no longer exists, and in this quiet you begin to touch something timeless. The same intelligence that gives rise to stars is the intelligence that lives behind your eyes, and when you're finally still enough, alone enough, honest enough, you can feel it. Not as a thought, not as a belief, but as a direct experience of communion. This is not about giving up on people. It's not about rejecting human connection. It's about recognizing that before anyone can complete you, you must first realize that you are already whole. You don't find this wholeness in relationships, in achievements, or in distractions. You find it when you face the void and realize it is not empty at all, but brimming with life, with meaning, with the silent, smiling awareness of the universe that has always been holding you. To be alone with the universe is not to be lonely. It is to finally understand that you are not a visitor here. You are the earth, the sky, the unfolding. You belong not because someone told you so, but because existence itself is your birthright. In that realization there is peace, there is power, and there is profound beauty.